Welcome back to Anfield Signal, your first source for breaking Liverpool FC news, transfer bombshells and matchday insights. Don't miss a single update. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Steven Gerrard urges Liverpool to re-sign former star as Mo Salah replacement. Liverpool have the difficult task of replacing Mohamed Salah in the summer transfer window, and club legend Steven Gerrard has had his say on who might fit the bill. Liverpool legend Steven Gerrard has identified Bayern Munich stars Michael Olise and Luis Diaz as ideal replacements for Mohamed Salah. The Egyptian is leaving Liverpool after 9 years, and the club are scouring the market for options ahead of the summer transfer window opening. Salah has 255 goals for Liverpool and will go down in history as one of the club's best ever players. His exit will leave a significant gap in Arne Slot's squad, even though his form has tailed off this season. Liverpool spent £320 million on attacking reinforcements last summer in the form of Florian Wirtz, Hugo Ekitike and Alexander Isak, yet now find themselves needing to splash the cash for another new forward. Diaz only left Anfield for Bayern last summer in a £65 million deal, while Olise joined the German Giants the year before from Crystal Palace. Gerrard has been hugely impressed by both players and sang their praises while covering Bayern's 2-1 win over Real Madrid, in which Diaz scored on Tuesday night. All day long, he replied when asked on TNT Sports if he liked to see Olise at Liverpool. But the problem is, why would he leave Bayern Munich? Big club, they're challenging for the big honours, probably the strongest Bayern Munich team we've seen for a while. He's about to take the World Cup by storm come the summer. He looks like a really happy kid, settled. I don't think he's going anywhere. But yes, I would love him at Liverpool. And you know what? I wouldn't mind Diaz back as well. Gerrard also discussed the subject on TalkSport on Tuesday morning. I think the concern, if you're trying to replace Salah in terms of I think there's very few out there that you can go and grab. He said Olise would be one, I would say, but I don't think he'd be available. But from experience being around Liverpool as a player, and also since I've left, Liverpool's recruitment team will have different options. And that doesn't necessarily mean they'll look for a like for like. When we had to replace Mane, for example, we went for Diaz, who's slightly different. Or when Suarez has left, they've had different types of options to try and replace the players. But Liverpool have got a fantastic record of replacing top players that have gone before. So I've got every confidence from a recruitment point of view that they'll have different types of options, not necessarily a like for like. One thing is for certain, they have to try and replace some kind of his goal involvement in terms of goals and assists, which is extremely difficult because he's been incredible for Liverpool for many years. Slot made a very similar point when discussing the problem last week. Of course we do, he said on Friday when asked if Liverpool had a plan for replacing Salah. We are not starting to work on it now because we are constantly working on where we can improve. There is not a lot talked about this, but it is 88 minutes that Alexander Isak, Hugo Ekitike and Florian Wirtz were together on the pitch together. So let's first find out and work out how that works together, and that can give us so much more. It is never one player who can replace Mo. Otherwise, there would be 15 or 20 Mos, and he is one of a kind, which is why he is so special. You cannot find a Mo replacement. Georgi Mamadashvili and Ibrahima Konate could see their Liverpool fates linked in Paris. The Georgian goalkeeper steps into Alisson's shoes in the French capital, where Ibrahima Konate struggled last season. In the pantheon of great Liverpool goalkeeping performances, it remains right up there. Alisson Becker's one-man crusade to prevent Paris Saint-Germain from scoring at the Parc des Princes last March was perhaps the most memorable demonstration of why he remains among the best between the sticks on the planet. Ultimately, though, it was an effort in vain as the Ligue 1 side held their nerve in the deciding penalty shootout in the Anfield return the following week en route to winning the Champions League. And when Liverpool once again step out in the French capital this evening, they will be without the talismanic Brazil international. Alisson instead back in England, continuing his rehabilitation from the latest hamstring issue that has sidelined him for the last 3 weeks. It says much about the heightened desire among some to portray a club in disarray that there were attempts to suggest Alisson was at odds with Arne Slot, given his social media message last week, confirming his injury, when in fact he was merely confirming the assessment of the Reds boss earlier in the day. Beyond doubt, though, as with injuries and time catching up with Alisson, it will be interesting to see if his Anfield career is extended beyond the end of his present contract next summer. Tonight represents the latest opportunity for Georgi Mamadashvili to stake his claim as the Brazilian's long-term successor. The Georgian has perhaps been given more appearances in his debut season than may have been expected, particularly in the Champions League, having featured in 5 of Liverpool's previous 10 matches in the competition. Mamadashvili had already acquired enough big game experience with former club Valencia and the Georgia national team to not be overawed by the prospect of repelling Ousmane Dembele, Desire Doué and company. and he will know all about compatriot Kavica Kvaratskhelia, with the duo having regularly played together for Georgia, most notably at the European Championships in 2024. Part of the reason Alisson was required so regularly against PSG last season was a ragged performance from Ibrahima Konate and a lack of protection from the central midfield. More than 12 months later, both were once again apparent in Saturday's abject 4-0 FA Cup surrender at Manchester City. Although this time even the dependable Virgil van Dijk was dragged down among the stupor, the wayward display from Konate in Paris came at a time when, with the player approaching the final year of his contract, PSG were one of a number of clubs linked with his signature. That his situation remains unresolved less than 3 months before his deal expires has perhaps contributed to an inconsistent campaign from Konate, although there have been other mitigating factors. Reports in France this week have suggested Konate is much nearer staying at Anfield than departing, with the forthcoming World Cup indicating an imminent decision would suit all concerned parties. Indeed, a strong performance from the centre-back this evening would offer a timely reminder to France national team boss Didier Deschamps ahead of the summer tournament. More pertinently, though, it would offer some redemption for events in Paris last year and in Manchester at the weekend. Liverpool dare not be on the receiving end of another embarrassment, their embarrassment that would ramp up the pressure on the beleaguered slot to almost intolerable levels and ask serious questions over the long-term Anfield futures of several players. Konate and Mamadashvili will be crucial in ensuring the Reds go into next Tuesday's Anfield return with a chance to atone for more than just recent failings and hint at what may still come for Liverpool. Every player at risk of missing PSG versus Liverpool as superstar is major doubt. Swedish striker Alexander Isak has been named in the Liverpool squad for the Champions League quarter-final first leg at Paris Saint-Germain after 15 weeks out with injury. Alexander Isak has been included in Liverpool's squad for Wednesday's Champions League quarter-final first leg against Paris Saint-Germain, marking his return after 15 weeks on the sidelines. The striker resumed first-team training last week, yet was absent from the squad for Saturday's 4-0 FA Cup defeat to Manchester City. Isak now stands to make his comeback for the first time since suffering a broken leg following a challenge from Mickey van der Ven during Liverpool's 2-1 win over Tottenham just before Christmas. Speaking on Tuesday, manager Arne Slot confirmed that Isak would not be in the starting lineup, though he could make an appearance at the Parc des Princes. He finished close to a week of team training sessions. He can play a part. Otherwise, I wouldn't take him, Slot said. I didn't take him to the Etihad because we felt he wasn't able to get a performance yet. We think we can get a performance out of him now, but not to start. Liverpool will, however, be without Alisson Becker, Connor Bradley, Wataru Endo, Stefan Bajcetic and Giovanni Leoni for the game. While Alisson is anticipated to return before the season concludes, Bradley, Endo, Bajcetic and Leoni are not expected to be fit until next term. He will not be part of the Paris Saint-Germain games as well. Slot said last week when asked about Alisson, he will be out for a bit longer. Towards the end of the season, we expect him to be fit again. Meanwhile, PSG is anticipated to be without Bradley Barcola, Fabian Ruiz and Quentin Nine-Jantu for the fixture. While the League One team confirmed on Tuesday that Barcola has returned to full training and is working his way back to peak condition, French media reports suggest the winger will not be risked. However, speaking on Tuesday, Luis Enrique stated if he's still unwell, he won't play tomorrow. He had a partial training session yesterday and a full session today. He's coming back. We're finding the best conditions. He'll tell us when he's ready. He's lacking a little confidence. Reflecting on the match itself, Enrique added, we're going to try to have the ball more than Liverpool, a very good team with quality players and a very good coach. It'll be difficult. In the quarterfinals, it's naturally a special game because there are just 8 teams. When you start to get used to being at this level, it's great as a team. It's, of course, positive to be able to show it against Liverpool. What we want is to qualify. We're aware of the difficulty, but we're motivated. We want to enjoy playing at the Park. PSG star left for Liverpool before being punished by Jurgen Klopp over respect. As Liverpool prepares to face Paris Saint-Germain on Wednesday, we look back at Mamadou Sakho's time at Anfield, where he went from hero to villain under Jurgen Klopp. Mamadou Sakho remains one of the more intriguing figures from Liverpool's recent past. The French defender was recruited to Anfield by former boss Brendan Rodgers in September 2013 in an attempt to bolster the club's defensive line. Signed from Paris Saint-Germain, the team the Reds are set to meet in Wednesday's Champions League quarter-final, Sakho became Liverpool's most costly centre-back acquisition to that point. Yet his time at Anfield would swing between acclaim and controversy as then boss Jurgen Klopp eventually lost patience with the defender's conduct off the pitch. Sakho's maiden season nearly secured the Reds their first Premier League crown in nearly 25 years. Nevertheless, he appeared in merely 18 Premier League matches as Liverpool's defence conceded 50 goals, a figure which proved crucial to their downfall. The Frenchman faced widespread censure and never fully won over Rodgers. Following the Northern Irish manager's departure in October 2015 and Klopp's appointment, Sakho initially earned his new boss's confidence, yet that rapport soon deteriorated. Sakho was notoriously dismissed from Liverpool's pre-season tour of the United States in 2016 after it transpired that he had arrived late for the club's flight, a team dinner and a treatment appointment while rehabilitating from injury. The centre-back's conduct in California proved the final straw for Klopp, whose tolerance had been tested by a string of indiscretions. Sakho was relegated to the U23 team and never appeared for the first team again, exemplifying one of Klopp's harshest sanctions during his tenure at the club. The Premier League winning manager also addressed the incident at the time, highlighting the defender's absence of respect. The German stated, "It's not that serious. He missed the departure of the plane, he missed a session and then was late for a meal. I have to build a group here. I have to start anew, so I thought it maybe made sense that he flew home to Liverpool. And after 8 days, when we come back, we can talk about it. But it's not that serious. It is how I said. We have some rules and we have to respect them. If somebody doesn't respect it or somebody gives me the feeling he is not respecting it, then I have to react. That's all." Sakho left Liverpool in January 2017, completing a loan move to Crystal Palace. His performances in South London were so outstanding that the Eagles even smashed their transfer record to secure him permanently in summer 2017. Offering his perspective in 2025, Sakho told the Echo that he maintained a good relationship with Klopp. He said, I like his type of football. Small things are always good to take as an excuse, but the reality wasn't this, but it's fine, But seriously, because a player is late to eat, the time's 7.15 and he comes at 7.18, now he leaves the club. Come on. I never talk and I would not speak for the moment because it's not important. I really enjoy my time in Liverpool. Yeah, it was a really great moment for me in my career and that's it. I told you I'm a positive man, so I don't like to speak about the inside of football. I will speak about it one day, of course. Of course, one day I will speak, but not now. It is not the right moment. When I do my documentary of my career and of my life, all the truth will go out in that moment, just for fun. Sakho left Palace during the summer of 2022. He subsequently turned out for Montpellier and ultimately Torpedo Kutaisi in Georgia's top flight before hanging up his boots earlier this year, bringing the curtain down on an eventful playing career. Arne Slot confirms Alexander Isak's selection decision for Liverpool's huge Paris Saint-Germain clash. Alexander Isak will be in Liverpool's matchday squad for their Champions League quarter-final first leg against Paris Saint-Germain at Parc des Princes. Alexander Isak is in line for a Liverpool return at Paris Saint-Germain on Wednesday night after nearly 4 months out. The Sweden international travelled with his teammates to the French capital for the first leg of their Champions League quarter-final tie after returning to full training last week. Isak hasn't featured since he suffered a broken ankle and fractured leg on December 20th when he scored the opening goal in the 2-1 win at Tottenham Hotspur. Reds head coach Arne Slot confirmed at PSG's Parc des Princes on Tuesday night that the £125 million striker will be involved, having made the journey with his colleagues. He has had close to a week of team training sessions now, so he can play a part. Otherwise, I wouldn't take him, Slot said. I decided not to take him to the Etihad for Saturday's 4-0 loss at Manchester City, and we had talks with the player and the medical staff and performance staff, and we decided we were not able to get a performance out of him. And since he is with us now, we do think we can get a performance out of him now, but not to start, let's be clear. Isak, who is the most expensive footballer in British football history, has scored 3 goals since he joined from Newcastle United on September 1st. He returns to a squad at a low ebb after the heavy FA Cup loss to Man City, after which captain Virgil van Dijk admitted Liverpool were guilty of giving up at one point during the quarter-final tie. Asked if he spoke to his players afterwards, Slot said, "Of course, we talk to the players in meetings, but also individually. I think it makes complete sense, and it is completely normal, the feeling Virgil shared after the game. That is the feeling every player had, and not only every player, but every staff member and every fan and supporter of Liverpool as well. Everyone involved in Liverpool Football Club was disappointed after that result. That takes 1 or 2 days before you look forward, look ahead to the next game. But before you do that, you first address what we have to improve, and that's quite obvious. I think everyone can see that. If you only look at those 20 minutes when City scored their 4 goals, you can see a lot of things that we can improve. We cannot compare Paris Saint-Germain with City completely, because when we had the control and ball possession in the first 35 minutes, that also had to do with City staying more positional, not going so aggressive towards us. Whereas Paris Saint-Germain have shown in the last season since Luis Enrique is here that they don't give you any second of time to have the ball comfortably at your feet. Arne Slot makes new demand to Liverpool players in bid to avoid fresh humiliation at PSG. Arne Slot challenges his Liverpool players to match Paris Saint-Germain or risk another humiliation like Saturday's 4-0 defeat to Manchester City in the FA Cup. Arne Slot has challenged his Liverpool players to play from the first to the last second at Paris Saint-Germain or risk another humiliation like Saturday's FA Cup exit at Manchester City. The Reds were humbled 4-0 in the Etihad quarter-final as Erling Haaland scored a hat-trick alongside Antoine Semenyo's effort in a 20-minute spell either side of half-time. Slot accepts that another performance at the Parc des Princes against European champions PSG will likely end in similarly damaging defeat on Wednesday night, but the 2025 Premier League winner is taking heart from his team's first 35 minutes on Saturday lunchtime. What gives me the first 35 minutes, because it is not the first setback we have had, Slot said, losing 4-0. It's not the first time we have 15 or 20 minutes in a game where we don't play our best football, and it is not the first time we immediately get punished by a goal, sometimes one or two. In this time it is 4, the only 4 chances we give up, by the way, but the first 35 minutes gives me a lot of confidence that we can go toe-to-toe with the teams and PSG that for me are the hardest to play against in open play. I have to say it like that because of their quality and the way they are managed. But I can tell you if we have the 20 minutes we had at City tomorrow evening here, we will again concede 4 goals because these players here know how to act if we are having a 20-minute period like that. So it is a challenge for us to play from the first to the last second at the level we were at in the first 35 minutes. If not, it is going to be a really hard night, again, like it was on Saturday. Last year, we completely deserved to lose 4-0 here, or maybe more, but that is the beauty of football, that we scored a goal in the 85th minute, and it was almost like this was a robbery, slot added. I cannot debate that. It is completely true that performances have been very inconsistent throughout the whole season. I think the answer lies in the history of Liverpool. This club has always shown that they stand up again in tough moments. We've had a lot of tough moments and stood up a few times, but then fallen down again. So we have to show that mentality again of just keep going and picking yourself up after a disappointment, because this club has shown so many times that we can do special things in difficult circumstances, especially if we can bring this to Anfield as we saw last season and so many times. So the answer is already in the history of Liverpool, but it's easier said than done because we've shown far too many times this season that we have phases in games, like the 20 minutes at the Etihad. Now it is up to us to show the team that we have been. Liverpool received sensational Yan Diomande transfer boost. Liverpool received sensational Yan Diomande transfer boost. The Egyptian King, 33, has reached an agreement with his employers to tear up his £400k per week contract 1 year early, leaving him free to choose his next destination in summer 2026. And Arne Slot and Richard Hughes are aiming for a 1v1 dribbling specialist to succeed their all-time great. Diomande has been on the list for around 6 months now, with the RB Leipzig winger taken to life in the Bundesliga with considerable relish. The Ivorian wideman has scored 11 goals in the German top flight, minus adding 6 assists in his first season since joining from Leganés. Barcelona drops out of Diomande race. A report from Spain via Sport Witness now suggests that Liverpool will have one less rival bid to worry about this summer. Barcelona did their due diligence on Diomande when he was at Leganés before his £18 million move to Leipzig last year, but the ship has sailed for the Catalans as they are now unable to afford the Leipzig asking price. The €70 million price is also too high for Hansi Flick's side, the report reads. For now, there are no options for his arrival, as several Premier League sides, especially Liverpool and Chelsea, are prepared to offer over €60 million. Widely quoted at around €100 million, £87 million. The Sport report claims that it is more likely that a deal can be done at around €70 million if the German side are persuaded to sell. Even so, that is a little too rich for Barca's blood unless they manage to offload one of their other attackers for a big fee in the summer. Door wide open for Diomande deal. It didn't stop the Spanish giants from making an approach to ask about his situation and the conditions needed to sign him. The report reads, Barca want to position themselves, but a move is only possible if one of their existing attackers were to receive an offer they can't refuse. So that leaves the path clear for Liverpool to sign Diomande, who has inked a deal at Leipzig until 2030. We expect a decision on the player's future after he competes for the Ivory Coast in the upcoming FIFA World Cup. With a prior stated transfer wish to join Liverpool, the Premier League champions are at the front of the queue for Diomande, one of the most exciting teenage talents around.